China is urging its citizens not to travel abroad as it struggles to contain the virus that has now killed more than 100 people. The total number of confirmed cases is now at more than 4,500.
If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying. You know, we've been waiting for Miami spring break for a while. About 2 months we've had this trip planned. 2-3 months. So we're just out here having a good time. Whatever happens, happens.
Nothing will keep us together.
It was all part of Carol Baskin's plan with Peter, the Carol Baskin. Carol Baskin is so influential.
Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
Right, good evening, Secret Cellar. How y'all doing tonight? Amazing. My last show at the Reykjavik Fringe. Y'all feeling good? All right. You guys had a fun Fringe so far? Yeah, of course you have. We're one of the only fringes in the world that's open right now. Everyone else is being reasonable and smart, and we just went, fuck it, I want to have a beer and laugh. Yeah, that's great. No, but I mean, I honestly do mean this, and I want to say, first of all, thank you guys so much for coming out to the show. I know comedians always start every single show. It doesn't matter what kind of show it is. It could be the O2 Arena, it could be an empty broom closet or your parents' bedroom. We always say thank you for coming to the show, but I think this time we mean it. I swear to God, we need your beer money more than ever. Like this, I'm gonna, like, we gotta start writing this off as fucking tax deductible at this point. I mean, look, we don't even get this shit for free anymore. That was one of the perks of the job. We gotta pay for this now to keep the comedy club afloat. So if you think about it, we're a lot like nurses, you know? Everyone has to sacrifice. So yeah, that's great. It's not like we would do anything different, of course. Comedians, we just get drunk all the time, and you know that's why we were so ready for COVID. I think they were just saying that. Oh, you gotta just, make sure you drink at home. I spent pretty much the whole time of Corona during lockdown drinking with Finnish people. They're just better at it, They know how to do this shit. I remember when everyone was saying like, oh my God, it's not safe to go to the bars. Just make sure you drink at home. And everybody in Finland was like, oh yeah, it's just like Fridays. Dude, I'm not kidding. They have a word for this. Kaalsarikannit. You know what that word means? It means getting drunk at home in your underwear without any intention of going out. If that's not the definition of poetry right there, I don't know what is. All right, I heard that word for the first time. I was like, oh yeah, we have that back in Iceland too. It's called unemployment. Look, Finnish people, they're just a different breed of... I've been there twice, doing shows in Finland. It's a lot of fun, but they are, I swear to God, I don't believe they're Homo sapiens. Like, they are just a different breed of people. Like, you ever read Finnish military history? The fuck, it reads like the movie script for Rambo. And then the Finnish sniper got into position and killed the total number of everybody. Jesus, that's a lot of people. I mean, what other country creates a cell phone that can also be used as a blunt instrument in hand-to-hand combat? I just see them handing that out to the Finnish troops. He's like, here is your rifle, your magazine, and if you run out of bullets, you kill him with a Nokia. It's been great. I don't know, it's been a lot of fun. Because it's been a crazy year for everyone. Obviously, it's been a difficult year for me too. I got a really good job at the beginning of this year. So I'll just give you a little background for those of you who don't know me. I spent 10 years studying Chinese. I graduated top of my class at the University of Beijing with a master's in international relations, and for the whole time since I graduated, I've been trying to get a job, some government job that relates to what I've been studying. And then finally, last December, I get a job interview, and as of January 2020, I began working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a Schengen visa officer. Well, I lost that job 10 days ago, but it was fun, when it was great. I started on January 6th because, well, I speak Chinese. They needed Schengen visa officers because we were expecting 400,000 Chinese tourists this summer. And very few people get to do this. Like, I start my job, and as I start, almost the first week, I started just getting a front view seat of my career just completely dropping down. You know what? It was kind of like, there's a reason I'm wearing my Jurassic Park shirt tonight, because for me, 2020 career-wise has kind of been like Jurassic Park. Remember the beginning, when they're flying to the island and everything's intact. They have nice meals. They tour the facility. They're driving around. I'm a dinosaur. That was January. Then February rolls along, and February was kind of like, that scene when they're in the 92 Jeep Wrangler and the glass of water just... Oh my God, it's a global pandemic! Helgi, fuck those tourists! Get to the consular section, start answering phones! We need to make sure perverts living in Thailand get home safely! No, answer the phone. No, we're calling Alicante Icelanders. We need to make sure they can come back home so they don't have to pay tax. This is insane. And I was running around all throughout the ministry just trying to, make sense of everything. And the thing is, I was an addition to the ministry. We were actually in the process of hiring even more people to handle Schengen visa applications. They never got hired, but they were kind of like that lawyer who gets eaten on the toilet. Maybe next year. So yeah, back doing gigs in a basement for beer money. Makes me think, I probably shouldn't have bought my first apartment in March. I've lived abroad for most of my life, but I think that was one of the most Icelandic things I ever did. Hey, I'm an intern on a government salary. This'll last forever. 3 months later, 20 million kronas in debt, and yay! This is gonna be fun! And you realize when you own your own apartment, here's the thing, I knew I'd have to pay back a loan. I didn't realize all the other shit that you have to pay that goes along with it. They might as well just put on my bank right now, just fucking eyes wide shut orgy fee. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's part of the fee. I have to pay that. It's insane, man. And this is one of the things that, because when I was, before the boom boom time, when the tourists were showing up, a lot of the times, down at the club, we serve pretty cheap beer, relatively speaking, but, we'd have, mostly it would be British tourists who would be complaining about this, mostly the price of alcohol. They'd be talking with them after the show. It's like, mate, I just paid £10 for this beer. And I'm like, oh my God, it's still happy hour! Because that's cheap to us. They'd be like, yes, we know. They always talk about it. I love how tourists kept telling Icelanders how expensive their own country was. Like it's news to us. It's like, yeah, we know. Trust me, we know it's expensive. We pay the same price as you do, all right? The only difference is you assholes get to leave on Wednesday, all right? We still have to go to Bonus and pretend we're not getting fucked by the 11-inch cock that has been executing our wallets ISIS style since the day we were born. So one thing I love about my country, man, we go around the world, every football tournament. Oh, yes, we are Icelandic Vikings. We bow to no one. Apart from Oli, Shell, Elko, ATFR, Hagkaup. Who am I missing? Oh yeah, anybody willing to give us a housing loan? Look, I don't know if there are any tourists in here, and I assume there are some because you like getting shit shoved up your nose, but if there are, you think 10 euros for a beer is bad? Just wait till you find out how housing loans in this country work. Hello, Mr. Bankman. I would like a loan to buy a house. Wonderful. How does it work? Very simple. You take an index-based loan at 5% interest, averaging a monthly payment of $150,000, 80% of which is just interest, and you do that again and again and again for 45 years. Wow, that seems excessive. I know! Wait, so after that time, do I then get to own the house? No, that's the best part. Because it's index-based, you never own the house. The more you pay, the more you end up owing. That doesn't make sense. Wait, so what happens if I default on my loan and can't pay back my mortgage? Well, then the bank gets to take your car and pee on your kids. This is horrible. I don't want to do this. Too bad. You have to. It's government mandated. No. You know what? I have choices. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna pack my bags and move to Norway. Oh yeah? Who's taking you? Wow, where? So that's our life, you know. But it is nice to see tourists coming back. I mean, I remember I was reading all those articles in Washington Post, New York Times. They're all talking, oh, Iceland did everything right. You know, go to Iceland, travel to Iceland. Of course, I mean, the thing is, like, this happened before we even knew what we didn't know what was going on. This wasn't like 2008 where we kind of saw what was going to happen. Everything just stopped in the middle, and people still wanted to come to Iceland, and they still do. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? I mean, we're essentially the Florida of Scandinavia. You know, a tourist paradise most famous for bankruptcy and cousin fucking. Hey, we even have our own Florida man. Not only that, the dude was running for president. That was nuts. Man, look, I grew up in the United States, so I anticipated Donald Trump. When Guðmundur Franklin came on stage, I never thought, as an Icelandic citizen, I would get the chance to watch my own country's leader look into the eyes of his opponent during the presidential debate and talk to him like a 9-year-old kid who just ruined a dinner party. Are you proud of yourself tonight, young man? Yeah, Trump! Fucking hell. Look, my theory on Guðmundur Franklin is that I don't think he really wanted to become president. I think he just, this is such an Icelandic thing to do. We always want to make sure everything is about us. You know, everything has to be somehow related to us. I remember, like, we have a politician in Iceland called Helgi, and he's a Twitter warrior of types. And this is like right after the George Floyd thing. There was a lot of discussion going on in Iceland about race, and there was this Icelandic girl, a black girl who's lived here her entire life, and she was actually saying, yeah, I mean, I've experienced actually a lot of racism here in Iceland, you know. And Helgi goes and says, oh yeah, I know what you mean, girl. I have a beard, so a lot of people think I'm Muslim. Yeah, I know like 2 words in Arabic, so people think I'm from Saudi Arabia. Can you believe that shit? No, Helgi, nobody believes you're from Saudi Arabia, right? Trust me, dude, if you had Saudi oil money, you would not be drinking at Ölstofan. You know, this is very simple, you know? That's the thing, man. We have to make sure everything's about us. And you know, I've been thinking about, you know, even like what's going on in the world right now. I mean, take the country I grew up in, the United States of America, right now, is literally on the verge of a civil war. And, you know, this is actually an opportunity for a country like Iceland that's quite isolated. We don't know a whole lot about the world. We could actually, like, learn a lot from this. And I've seen on, you know, CNN and all these networks, like, hundreds of interviews with, you know, African Americans who've been talking about their experience, you know, what they've gone through with racism in the U.S. And Roof really could just translate that, put subtitles on, and let us watch it. That's not what they do. Every single 7 o'clock news, you know, you turn on, something's happening in the world. The protests that have been taking place as a result of the tragic death of George Floyd have spilled over to other major American cities, including many of those in California. Joining us right now is Sole Líf, a 22-year-old blonde chick from Akranes who has spent the last 5 months living in Los Angeles. What can you tell us about the protest, Sole? Okay, so I had a date with my sugar daddy who is going to extend my visa so I could continue living in LA illegally as a Snapchat escort. And everything was just literally on fire. Right, and have you taken part in the protest? No, I was gonna go shopping, but they burned down the Gap, so now I'm at Starbucks. Always has to be about us, you know? But hey, I do think we're getting back to normal as a society because, hey, comedians are getting back in trouble again. Woo! Thanks for that, Peter Johan. Look, I was shocked. I was just as shocked as you guys when I saw that video of them doing that. I was like, dude, you haven't written anything new since 1992? But no, I was shocked. I really was. I mean, I was shocked that a man who has spent the last 20 years of his career making cat noises did not have something more constructive to bring to the conversation. And he did it at Guinness's birthday party. Dude, that's like a UNICEF charity dinner. You just don't do that shit there. But it does beg the question, why, again, because we ask this again and again as comedians, why is stand-up comedy the only form of the arts where people don't distinguish what is being said versus who says it? Like, what a comedian thinks is funny to say on stage doesn't necessarily represent who they are in real life. And for some reason, this is the only form of the arts where this is true. I mean, nobody who watched Django Unchained thinks Leonardo DiCaprio is an actual slave owner. Bob Marley didn't really shoot the sheriff, right? Nobody looked at Nickelback's photographs any more than they thought Smash Mouth were made up of all-stars who got paid, you know? It's just, I think it's just like we take everything at face value, and it goes back to the tourism things. I remember, you know, when I used to work as a tour guide, I'd have a lot of Americans on my tours, and anything that they read on Icelandair, anything they saw, anything they read, they just thought it was the truth. You know, they remember like when Icelandair had those tourist things, you know, when you're boarding the plane, you know, they have all that Joseph Goebbels propaganda thing on the front screen. The most beautiful thing about Iceland is not the volcanoes or the waterfalls, but the fact that the Prime Minister is... I was like, okay, take it down a notch, man. Take it down a notch, Hitler Youth. This is a little... But they would come to, like, on my tours, they'd be like, oh my God, Icelanders are so cute. They, like, all believe in elves. Who kept telling people that? We don't even believe in banking reform, let alone tiny green people who, for whatever reason, are just really particular about road construction. And look, dude, if you're gonna believe in mystical creatures, have them do something cool. What is your superpower? I don't like roads. See, I think this is why, despite Hollywood's obsession with sci-fi and Marvel and all that, they're never gonna make, like, Marvel's hidden people. I mean, look, the trailer would just be stupid. All they wanted was peace and quiet. Until one day, construction showed up. Oh no, the machines won't start. Oh yeah, they're machines, that happens sometimes. No, it must be elves. Quickly, we have to talk to this rock. Get the wizard, talk to this rock. You know, like it's the tree in Avatar. By the hipster powers of Björk and Sigur Rós, we call upon you elves. Oh, go ahead. No. Okay, okay. Okay, the rock has spoken. The elves say we are not to build this road unless we face dire consequences. Like, really? That's all it took, huh? Hundreds of economists over a 10-year period all warning us our banks were gonna collapse, all ignored. Yet we get a wizard to do a 5-minute seance with a rock in Elvish, and Highway 1 turns into a roundabout. Yeah, but Helgi, you know, the Viking settlers who wrote about elves, they said they saw them. No, we just didn't know mushrooms had that effect on people. That really is my only consultation in all of this. Just imagining two buff Vikings going, oh my God, Atli, are you seeing that shit? It's fucking elves, man. I gotta go fuck my cousin or kill somebody. This is insane. Man. But they are cute, you know, tourists, especially the Midwestern people. Because I mean, like, I grew up in the Midwest in the U.S., so I kind of relate to them. And I think that, like, okay, there's always this conversation about American tourists abroad, and they, you know, would get a very, very bad rap, which is understandable, because America has, over the last 200 years, had what's been called as a bad PR relationship with the rest of the world. But the ones who travel, they're the good Americans. You know, they like. I feel like they always have to overcompensate for the shit that's going on in their country, so they have to be like very enthusiastic about everything that is going on in the country they're visiting. And I noticed this on the tour. We'd stop somewhere. They're like, oh my God! This is like the Singavada Lear Park. Oh my God! Oh my God! A sheep, Neato! Oh my word! Hey John, look! They have beer here. I know, just like back in Wisconsin. What? Does it taste like Miller Lite? Hold on. No, it's good. Doesn't taste like pee at all. Yeah. Now the thing is, like, I'm actually one of the only people in my family who has an American accent. So I grew up in the U.S. My mom and my dad, they got divorced when I was a kid. My mom stayed in the U.S. My dad came back to Iceland and became Gullibyggir. And you know, I'll get more into that later. But yeah. So I grew up in the U.S. and I always had this sort of relationship with the U.S. And the thing is, I was sent back to Iceland as a kid because I was actually forgetting my Icelandic. My mom noticed this when I was 8 years old. Came back from school one day. I was like, Mom, I gotta tell you what happened at school today. It's like, Helgi, say it in Icelandic. I'm like, yeah, but it happened in English. I'm fucking translating on the spot for you, I'm 8. And also, it wasn't really, this was shortly after the LA riots too, so it wasn't really the safest place for a little blonde kid running around, so she sent me back to Breiðholt. He's like, let's see, we live right by South Central Los Angeles. What's the next below? Oh, Breiðholt, yeah. But it wasn't really the same, because like, I remember like smokes and, you know, protests and shit going on, and I'd hear like gunshots out my window when I was 8 years old. It was a lot of fun. And, you know, then I show up in Breiðholt, they're like, yeah, man, do you know Siggi Hnífur? Yeah, I better watch out for him, huh? But the thing is, my grandma, she has a very thick Icelandic accent. And I noticed this first when I was, so my ex-girlfriend, she was British. I mean, she probably still is. But, not sure how nationality works, but I brought her home for Christmas one year. And the thing is, my grandma, she lived in England when she was a young girl back in the 1950s. So, you know, she was trying to bond with her. She was like, you know, oh, yes, you are from Leicester. Yes, you see, I used to live in England. I'm like, oh, this is so cute. They're bonding. And then she was trying to explain how foggy it used to get in her village. But again, thickest Icelandic accent ever. She's like, yes, I lived in this one village in England. Oh, it was so beautiful. Just so much fuck. You know, you look out the window, it's just fuck everywhere. You go to sleep, still fuck. This is just too much fuck in England. She's like, sorry, babes, does she mean fog? Me and my dad are just crying, laughing. We're like, no. She just really had fun in England, you know? But yeah, no, I've also had a really weird relationship with the U.S. I remember because I was living in the U.S. From the time I was 2 years old, but for like the first 7, 8 years of my life there, I was actually living there illegally. I didn't really have a green card, but you know, for some reason they didn't throw me out. I wonder why. So I got to stay there for a while, but I didn't really have any concept of it. You know, I remember because I had a connection to the U.S. and I wanted to be, I wanted to be legal. So when I was 11 years old, I finally get what's called a green card. A green card basically allows you to live in the U.S. The only 2 things you can't do is vote and buy guns. I'm kidding. You can totally buy guns. They sell them at Starbucks. It's great. So, you know, the first time I'm flying through JFK Airport, it's the first time I get to use my green card. I don't have to go in the tourist line anymore. I'm like, I'm an American boy now. So, you know, I'm walking, just to set the stage here, curly blonde-haired little kid with a Pokemon backpack and a Tamagotchi hanging on the back of it. That's right, I was a good 90s kid. So I walk through JFK Airport, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have flown through New York. For some reason, like, every single TSA officer, every single person who works at customs in the U.S., it's like they were cloned in a Tom Selleck factory. You know, just like big mustaches, all really, yes, sure, no, sure, yes, ma'am. And they do this for everybody. This is shortly after 9/11, too, so everyone's a little bit on edge, you know, but I hand him my green card, he swipes it, and there's some problem with the system, like, it doesn't process. So he looks at me, he goes, all right, sir. I mean, I'm 11, but whatever. All right, sir, there seems to be a little problem here with your permanent residence card. This is Officer Michaels. And I look up, and it was cool because I had never actually seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson before. We're just going to ask you several questions. So he brings me into the back room and just starts interrogating the fuck out of an 11-year-old kid. He's like, all right, sir, we're just going to ask you several questions here to help us determine the nature of your stay here in the United States. Do you understand? All right, first question. Are you currently traveling with a currency amount exceeding that of 10,000 US dollars? Second question. During your stay here in the United States, do you harbor any plans to attempt an overthrow of the United States government? And I think, like, he just has to ask every question on the list, regardless of how stupid it was. Because I swear to God, the third question was, did you, at any point between the years 1933 and 1945, participate in any Nazi-related activities or any activities that aided and abetted the German Third Reich? Where's my mommy? Sir, I'll be asking the questions. It seems weird in hindsight that that would be a concern if I was a Nazi, because it doesn't seem to be a deal breaker for the current administration. Yeah, I know. I'm really brave going after him, you know. I don't I mean, like, look, I do miss traveling. It's probably one of the things that I miss the most about after the lockdown and everything is because I used to do this thing like this is really how it goes. So when you're 30 years old, I'm 31 now, but over the last few years, it's just been like, I'm not married, I don't have kids, and I think basically what happens is you just need to find something to occupy your time. So I would always come here, do shows, get blackout drunk after the shows, go back home. And I would do something, like a lot of people do something when they're drunk. Like some people drunk text, some people drunk dial, some people drunk Amazon, or drunk AHA or whatever it is. I would drunk book shows. And not like in Akureyri or something. I basically would go home, turn on like Vice documentaries, and I'm like, dude, look at that! In Uzbekistan, they like kidnap people at gunpoint and force them to marry ISIS people. I wonder if they have a comedy club. So I just start firing away emails, and I don't realize I've done it until a few days later when I finally get a response. This is an actual email I got, I think this was like 2 years ago. Just pull it up here. If you don't believe me, I'll show you it after the show. Thank you for contacting us. We have reviewed your videos and would be happy to host you in our land. Like, what kind of Borat country did I message this time, man? Please send us some headshots and preferred dates, and we will contact you regarding visas and security. All the best. Comedy Club Palestine. Now, when your alcoholism is getting you closer to getting killed by an Israeli F-16 than liver failure, I think apple juice is the way to go. Look, because I'm not making this shit up, too. I was in Kiev, Ukraine 2 years ago doing a show I don't even remember booking. Like Icelanders, we don't need visas to go to Ukraine, so I just book, hey, I want to go to Ukraine. So I booked the show and the plane ticket the same night. 3 weeks later, I'm standing in Kiev. The country is under martial law, too. This was during the Sea of Azov thing. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like, Russia kidnapped a bunch of sailors, and there was like a bit of tension. And I was like, wow. So I landed there in Ukraine, and I said to the guy that helped me book the show, I'm like, hey, Vasil, listen, I don't want to be that guy, but am I walking into a war zone here? And he's like, no, don't worry. Right now, war only on water. Okay. Right, what about the show, though? I mean, I've never done comedy under martial law, apart from when I was living in China. I've never done comedy under martial law before. Is there something I shouldn't talk about? He's like, maybe do not talk about the East versus West issue in Ukraine. I'm like, okay. What about, can I make fun of, you said it's divided. I mean, can I make fun of Russia? Oh, yes, please. Oh, we love this. It's like, right, but you said it's divided. What if I make fun of Russia and there's somebody, from like Eastern Ukraine or Donetsk who likes Russia? What are they gonna do? Are they gonna like beat me up after the show? Yeah, maybe. It's just a different part of the world. It's just the way that they're thinking. It's so direct. I mean, Russians, Ukrainians, Central Europeans. I mean, it's just a lot. I mean, do we have any Russians or anybody who speaks Russian here? Hey, по-русски. Hey, спасибо, что пришли. Did I get that right? Yeah, there you go. So welcome to the show. I learned a little bit of Russian before I went there. I mean, I say learned Russian. I play Call of Duty. No, it's a lot of fun. I did a 2-week tour. Are you from Russia? St. Petersburg. Oh my God, that's great. That was the first city I did. I did 2 weeks. I did 7 shows. I did 1 week in St. Petersburg, 1 week in Moscow, and it was a lot of fun. I show up in St. Petersburg. For some reason, you guys don't have a train that goes from the airport to the city, and I love that because I show up there. I'm like, well, how do I get to St. Petersburg? It's like, would you like to rent a car in Russia? I'm like, I would not. I have seen your dashboard camera videos on the internet. It's like, is that a drunk bear driving a tank? What the fuck is going on in this country, man? So no, I get a taxi. It was nice. The taxi driver on the way to my hotel, he was making conversations. Like, so what do you do for a livings? I'm like, oh, I'm a comedian. I tell jokes. It's like, oh yes, tell jokes. I hear this is job now. All right, Dad. Jesus, man. It's like, come on, you must have some comedians in Russia. It's like, oh yes, we have one very good comedian in Russia. His name Vladimir Putin. Oh, we laugh at everything he promises. Dude, I took taxis everywhere in Russia. I was not driving there. I was not. Because the thing is, like, it's a great country. If you haven't been, check it out. Go see, the ballet. It's a great place. I really enjoy it. But transportation safety is not the number one concern. I know you're checking. You're like, nah, что это? I mean, we're talking about a country that once crashed one of its Airbus A310s back in 1994 because the pilot, and I'm not making this up, allowed a child to fly it for 10 minutes. You don't believe me? Just Google Aeroflot Flight 593. Cause of crash, child error. What other country, other than Russia, would you literally get on an airplane with a pilot going, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Captain Dmitry Antonovich. With me today is First Officer Little Sasha. He is part of Russian Make-A-Wish Foundation." No, I do like, I love how like the cloak and dagger thing in Russia is too. Like even if you're going to a restaurant or a bar or something, like if you're gonna get the Wi-Fi, like in most other countries, you just access the Wi-Fi, just get a password, right? You know how it is in Russia, right? You get into there's like, you get a text message, it's like, "Okay, comrade, in 2 minutes you will receive phone call. Memorize last 4 digits of number and then await further instructions." I'm like, this is cool. I'm like a KGB spy. I love it. Yeah. I had a lot of, I've never been to a Central European or Eastern European country and not had a good time. I think one of my favorites had to have been Lithuania. I was just doing a show in Vilnius, and I get off stage, and I'm at the bar drinking with Lithuanians and having a good time, and this guy just shows up. He wasn't part of the show. I didn't know him. Just random guy just comes up to me like, "You are a comedian." I'm like, I hope so. "I do a radio show here in Vilnius, Radio Klasika. You will do my show tomorrow." Like, do I have a choice? "I pick you up, hotel, 2 o'clock. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is how the KGB used to abduct people. I didn't tell him where I was staying. Homeboy just shows up to my hotel, brings me to the abandoned KGB propaganda tower, which is now their radio station. And we go upstairs to the sound booth thing. He sits me down, and I notice like there's a plate glass window, and these like 2 elderly babushka ladies just looking seriously at us. Like I don't know what they're doing. I was like, about this, what are they doing up there? "Don't worry, they just monitor." Sit down. And he starts the show. "Labas Vilnius, aš Icelandic stand-up comedian Helgi Steinar." Helgi, you are the comedian. Would you say that laughter is good cure for tragic life? I guess. Yes, but the Robin Williams, he make the jokes, but he hang himself to death. Like, what the fuck is going on here, man? This shit went on for an hour. It was like being interviewed by a Dostoevsky novel. Swear to God, man. Like, the only thing missing was like a little orphan girl standing in the corner playing the violin. Just, "Papa, can you hear me?" Just, I know, traveling's been a lot of fun. I'm really, like I said, I'm really enjoying the fact that we have a Reykjavik Fringe. We've been going strong for, it's the 3rd year we've been doing this. The thing is, the Nordic network is really great in doing all these fringe shows and everything. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna, like, bucket list. I want to hit every single fringe. I did Lahti. Thank you. One Finnish person like, "Oh God, no." Lahti is, they call it the Chicago of Finland. And I went there and I was like, yeah, I get why, because after 3 days I was hoping somebody would shoot me. But hey, look, I did, I had a lot of fun there. I've done that fringe, I wanted to do Norway as well. Denmark is on my list. The only one that has so far said I couldn't perform was Sweden. So Stockholm Fringe sent me an email when I applied, and I'm not making this shit up. They sent me an email and said, "Thank you for your application. We have reviewed it, but unfortunately this year we are not accepting straight white men." Is there anything Sweden is bringing to the table these days? Apart from body bags for corona victims. I mean, is there anything these fuckers are... No, I swear to God, like the whole country is just, "Oh, man måste diskutera." I'm like, Godzilla's attacking your city, man. Måste diskutera. And I was like, what do you guys do? I'll tell you what we do. We are the guiding light for progressive political correctness. Somebody has to stand up to fascism. I was like, you know what, Sweden, you're absolutely right. Somebody does need to stand up to fascism. It's funny, if only there had been some moment in history where instead of being neutral, you could have, I don't know, done just that. Get off your high horse, all right? And of course, Sweden knows everything about the Nazis because their steel factories still have the receipts. That's the thing about Sweden, man. They're like, how? No, that was then and this is now. Sverige does not sell steel to Nazis. Yeah, I know. Now you sell Carl Gustav rocket launchers to Myanmar, Saudi Arabia, and Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. How dare you? It is hen Carl Gustav rocket launchers. Oh my God. No, you can. I mean, look. I mean, I don't want to say like too many bad things about it. Sweden is just like it's a country like any other, and they do a lot of cool stuff. They they make these really cool murder mysteries and have all these. I mean, I don't really enjoy them, but they make them well, and I enjoy everything that's made well. But certain things just couldn't work, I guess, in Sweden. It's like you think about action movies. Action movies always work really well in the U.S. because they're just playing themselves. And you think about a movie like Terminator, right? Terminator was great in the U.S. They had Austrian, Arnold Schwarzenegger playing, and everything was American. I don't think it would happen the same way if it was in Sweden. I don't think that would happen the same way because could you imagine could you imagine the speech in Terminator when he's describing like how the world was destroyed by Skynet? I don't think that would work the same way with a Swedish accent. Before they died, my parents once told me how the world was before the wars. They told me of a green world full of reindeer and köttbullar, where children played in the streets like a Pippi Langström. But on August 29th, 1997, IKEA took over and turned against the humans who had programmed it. The machines designed to assemble the billy shelves and Fleesberget doors decided that all other interior design was a threat to its existence. They tried using Volvo and Saab to stop it, but it was no use. 3 billion people died when they saw the new line of furniture. The survivors call it Midsommardag. Now we fight against the machines and try to rebuild a future free of IKEA. Jag kommer tillbaka. I did that bit at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival 2 years ago. There were 2 Swedish people in the front. They lit up. They were like, oh my God, we have to make that movie. Oh, fuck Eurovision, this is more exciting. But look, like I said, I think, one of the things that I want to point out with this show is that, it's called, say, Good Cure for Tragic Life. I think that we always do feel a little bit powerless, as individuals, as humans. Like, we don't feel like we have a voice. We don't feel like, anything we do matters. And it's a very sort of hopeless time. But I feel, because the thing is, what we're doing right now, everything you do every single day will, in some way or another, affect the world later on, whether in a good way or in a bad way. It's just you choose the way it ends. And I think, I started thinking about this because, when I was living in Los Angeles, my best friend growing up was a girl named Zoe Kravitz. You guys don't know that? It's daughter of Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet. So what happened was, I was, 5 years old. She was 6. She was a year older than me. My dad and my mom, we'd moved to Los Angeles, and my dad could study acting. And well, if you watch Standup, that didn't work out in the U.S. But it worked out for him here. But during the time, hey, sky's the limit, man. So we lived in an area of Los Angeles called Topanga, California. Now, Topanga is it's not too far away from Hollywood. There's a really cool theater, the Will Gear Theater in Topanga. And the thing is, Topanga is a very, very isolated area. So obviously a lot of celebrities actually love living there because, it's sort of out of the way. So we lived in a small house, across from a vineyard, and just down the road, a quarter mile down the road, was where Lisa Bonet and Zoe Kravitz were living. I was really excited about, just having someone to play with. I didn't know who they were. If you guys don't know, Lisa Bonet, she played Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Lenny Kravitz, great musician and all that. But the thing is, they were getting divorced at that time. This was 1993. I'm 5 years old, she's 6, and she didn't have many friends. I didn't have any friends. So we started, we actually found each other. We started playing a lot. I mean, I didn't care. Like I said, I was happy to have someone to play with. I'm sure my dad was like, don't fuck this up. I need these connections. And one of the things that our favorite thing to do when I was a kid, for me and Zoe, was it was a hippie enclave they called a mansion. And we never hung out at my place. We were poorish immigrants. We didn't really have anything to do. That mansion, however, was really fun. So one of our favorite things to do when we were kids was to go skinny dipping in her pool. Now, is it weird that a 5-year-old Scandinavian boy and the girl that would later grow up to become Catwoman were running around a pool naked in Los Angeles? Yes. However, this was LA in the 90s, and trust me, weirder shit was going on at that time. And so we were having fun, we were playing around, but one day, and the thing is, because, like I said, this was during the divorce, so Lenny Kravitz's lawyers show up to the house of Lisa Bonet, and the thing is, Lisa runs out, says to Zoe, hey Zoe, the lawyers are here, get your clothes on, let's go back inside. She didn't say anything to me. Like, I kept playing in the pool, and they all went inside, because the lawyers had to evaluate, like, all the furniture and everything, so they were, splitting up, so they had to divide all the stuff. So, like I said, I didn't care. I was just running around, having a great time. Now, Topanga is actually it's a quite dangerous area. You got, like, coyotes. There's a lot of dangerous animals, snakes. So, I get onto the diving board. I'm about to jump in the pool, and a wasp stings me. Not only stings me, stings my dick. My little 5-year-old Icelandic dick, just right on the top. Dude, I didn't feel the pain for the first time because it started swelling up right away. Like, I watched it, it was just blowing up. Like, dude, I'm 31. There's no amount of Viagra that will ever top that, man. That shit was just going mad, and I felt the pain right there, and then I started screaming. Ah! Ah! Now, they ran outside. Lisa Bonet, Zoe Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz's lawyers all gather around the diving board. Now, Lisa was freaking out. Zoe was crying. The lawyers, they were shocked, but they had this more confused look on their face. It was like, listen, Huxtable, I don't want to judge, but what is a blonde, naked Scandinavian boy doing on your diving board? Is he a part of the divorce? Okay, so... And I'm just screaming there. She's like, help him! They're like, no. They're LA lawyers. They know what's allowed to touch and what isn't allowed to touch. They're like, fuck this isn't Neverland Ranch. We're not going anywhere near this shit. And so Lisa goes, Helgi, jump in! Or like, jump off, get off. Just like, no, not in the pool! So I jump off, and the thing is, the sting was so bad, I actually was bleeding out a little bit. Not too much, just enough for them to have to drain the pool and probably never use it again. So I jump in, Lisa goes after me, grabs me out, takes me to the emergency room, and I never saw Zoe after that. But the thing is, and I've tried to reconnect with her, because, it's not only like, oh, I'm, celebrity hunting, but it's like, we had a good time as kids. I've tried to DM her on Instagram, no responses. I think she was scarred for life for that. That was something crazy. But the thing is, I found out, because I was Googling, how the family's been doing. And the thing is, Lisa's doing great. She has a new boyfriend, and they actually live in the same house as when I was there in Topanga. So they live in the exact same house. So I was like, all right, hey, that sounds interesting. I'm going to Google Earth their house. Just to see, for nostalgic purposes. I was like, oh, I remember playing out there. Yeah, see, here it is. There's that circular house that they used to live in. There's the tennis court. And you see this dry patch of dirt here? That's where the swimming pool used to be. Like Poltergeist, they dug that shit up and destroyed it. She lives there now with her current boyfriend, Jason Momoa. That's right, Aquaman finally found a body of water he will not go near. Dude, he's like, hey, I'll stick it up Khaleesi's ass on her wedding night, but there's no fucking way I'm getting anywhere near that pool. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the Fringe.